years, and I find them fantastic. And if you read them about your heroes or people you admire, and you find out what they were thinking at this point in time, what inspired them to do that, then I think it's fantastic. So, I'm not going to pick a Bruce Springsteen song, but I am going to pick Bruce Springsteen's autobiography, which is called Born to Run. And it is, I mean, again, I can't be objective about Bruce. I love him. I've seen him 40 times in concert. You know, I can't be objective about him. Reading his life story in his words was quite an experience for me to do that. He talks about his mental illness. He talks about the mental illness of his father. He talks about his struggles and how you deal with that. And it can be any autobiography. Just read autobiographies would be what I would say. But if you want a good one to read one about your hero. My hero is Bruce Springsteen, and just to find out what motivates him, what he struggles with, the dark side of him as well as the kind of the great light side of him was just fantastic.
And I suppose that's really good because too many people now in the media, in particular social media, they only present what everybody wants to see, if you see what I mean. They only give you the one side. And of course, we're all normal. We're all human. We all have dark sides.
Self-proclaimed normal from STC there.
Absolutely, Steve. I mean, I'd agree completely with that. And how do you know what that person you're speaking to is going through?
Just to add to the Bruce choice is that it's also massive about friendship as well, isn't it, Jonathan?
Yes,
it is
absolutely.
And his relationship with the band over 40 years is just incredible.
Well, we haven't had an autobiography. We will definitely take that. So Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen enters into the Oral Apothecary Library.
I really like that idea of reading autobiographies to help understand behaviour. I've never really thought about that. So that's a really good insight.
Clever.
I did think about it.
You did?
Not just thrown together.
Okay, a big thank you to Jonathan for joining us on the Oral Apothecary and for sharing his stories and his Desert Island Drugs, his career anthem, and the Bruce Springsteen autobiography. Coming up next time, we'll be joined by Dr. Karen Sankey. Karen is a general practitioner with a particular interest in holistic, co-produced models of care. She's particularly interested in the wider determinants of health and is committed to engaging and supporting vulnerable individuals and those with complex needs. So we'll look forward to welcoming Karen on next time's Oral Apothecary. Over to Gimmo now for our contact details and the final ingredient.
Just wanted to give a mention out. So I mentioned that things will get back to normal, and obviously the kids are starting to hang around together with each other. My son told me that his friends were embarrassing him by playing the podcast when they were all hanging out together down the park. So this is your dad. This is so. If you're listening, big thanks to, and I think his name's OS Jamil. Jamil. So well done, OS. Keep embarrassing him.
So can I come back at you on that, Gimmo, quickly before you go on? Because today I went to pick my youngest up from school and I saw a friend/colleague walking down the street and I thought, I better tell him about the Oral Apothecary. So I pulled the car over and I said, hi, how's it going? He said, do you know what? He said, I was walking on Strumblehead a couple of weeks ago, he says. I saw Gimmo. And I said,
Oh, Di Lloyd, is it?
I said, he would have told you about the Oral Apothecary then, won't he? And he said, no.
I'm going to get those T-shirts made.
Yeah. So then my son was curling up by now.
I was wrestling with a Springer Spaniel on a cliff edge at that point. It was terrifying. So if you want to get in touch with us, it's at Oral Apothecary on Twitter, and our Gmail is at oralapothecarypod.gmail.com. So get in touch with us that way. I'm going to try something a bit different tonight, so bear with me. It's a murder mystery quiz, so you can all join in. This was one I picked up off Twitter, so I hope it's factually correct, because Twitter's known for its accuracy. So here we go. A 45-year-old man is found dead in the orthopaedic room at an emergency department. He has no signs of trauma and no past medical history. What do you think happened? Okay, so here's the first clue. The man was hired by the hospital to clean the drain and the pipes, which was blocked by plaster being washed down the sink by the residents. The material used to make the splints was plaster of Paris. The man was using sulfuric acid to clean the drain and dissolve the clogged up plaster of Paris. What happens to plaster of Paris when it's gunked up in pipes? It gets chewed up by bacteria. So under anaerobic conditions, bacteria makes a nasty thick calcium sulfide sludge. So what happens when you mix sulfuric acid with calcium sulfide?
Come in, Jonathan.
Hydrogen sulfide released?
And the man was gassed by hydrogen sulfide.
Oh, there we go.
Jonathan.
Did you Google that?
I remember chemistry. Don't you remember chemistry?
Show us your hands.
And that was based on a real case, toxicology murder mystery. That was by a guy called Josh Trebach on Twitter, so refer to him for the accuracy. I didn't check the chemistry, but yeah.
This was a 3 Apothecaries production. Sound engineer Jimbo Slough. Original music Jamie Brewster. Artwork by David Baker.
Thanks for listening to the Oral Apothecary podcast, where we always dispense with accuracy.
This episode of the Oral Apothecary is sponsored by jamiehayes.co.uk.